you don't really know who you are or what you are until you put a really big challenge in front of you.
Fear is an asset and ally here to help you be magnificent.
This crazy, silly, stupid idea to run across the Sahara Desert.
You did make it this time, but you said if you didn't make it, you would try again and again.
Everybody's connected to nature, connected to music, to their families, and now we're going to build a world that doesn't have racism and war and starving kids.
I kept telling myself, run at me, and just keep smiling.
Yo, there he is.
Hold on. My is not coming on for some reason. There we go.
Oh, we got a mallet and a golf club, and what kind of workout are we going to do here?
I don't know, man. This is all kind of crap in my basement. You see all my junk?
Yeah, look at that. This is that's like the ninja obstacle course in your basement. I love it. That's why I keep telling Abby we got to move out to the burbs so we can get something set up like that.
That's right.
Man, how are you? First of all,
man, how are you?
I'm good. By the way, I'm recording now.
All right. What are we doing?
I thought so. Here's what I thought. I thought that we would do the interview part, keep that kind of, relatively brief, and then do a workout. And then people can join us for a workout if they want.
All right. What do you have anything coded in terms of the workout?
No, it's up to you. Maybe, what do you think? Like 20 minutes, 30 minutes on a workout? How long is a workout usually for you?
It varies. I don't know. It's actually it can run up to an hour, but we can do whatever. I've got a couple of things I've got coded over the last couple of weeks. We can use any of those.
Okay. What does that mean, coded?
Like written up.
Okay.
Planned.
Well, I'm gonna defer to you. So you can. I'm gonna be outside, so I don't have any equipment or anything. I'm just gonna be on a patch of grass.
Yeah.
Cool. But
is it raining there?
No, it rained last night or something, but it's gray. And so for people who are maybe walking along with me right now, I am in Stuyvesant town where I live. It's kind of like 50 degrees, maybe high 40s, a little bit chilly, but it feels good, gray. And it feels good to be outside. And Jimmy is in his basement, which looks like an American Ninja Warrior course. He's got all sorts of crazy stuff going on there. And so I think we're going to do a little bit of an interview here, and then we'll do a workout for people who want to join us. And so for those of you who don't know Jimmy and I go back. He's a good friend, member of Team Fox, and one of the most incredible and inspiring people I know. And I wanted to interview him today on the podcast because if anybody knows something about being unshakable, it's Jimmy Choi. And I feel like he's got some wisdom that he could be helpful for all of us right now. So Jimmy, why don't you just, for people who didn't listen to the first podcast I did with you, which was a few years ago now, and I can't even believe it.
Yeah.
And people who don't know who you are, can you just give everybody a little bit of your background, a little bit of your story?
Sure. I was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's back in 2003. Now that's 17 years ago. And
17 years ago. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it's
how old are you? For people who are listening and don't get to see how young you look.
I'm 44 now, and I was diagnosed at the young age of 27. So I was 27 years old, and I was just starting my life, just got married, and next thing you know, they told me, Jimmy, you have Parkinson's. I mean, how do you deal with that, right? So I did exactly what any other 27-year-old did, which was ignored it. Who cares, right? Just go on living my life as if nothing happened, and maybe it'll just go away.
Did it go away?
No, it didn't go away. So for the first 8 years, I completely just let everything run its course. All I did was take the medication that they gave me. And then the symptoms, of course, the disease progressed, and I did absolutely nothing to change the way that I lived, and I did absolutely nothing to educate myself about the disease. Then, of course, which brought me down a rabbit hole that I had to eventually dig myself out of. I gained a lot of weight because of inactivity. Next thing you know, I was 240 pounds, and I couldn't walk without a cane, so I was falling all over the place. And you know, it's all the way into 2000 and 2006, 2007, I was pretty much useless to my family. I was depressed. I was angry. I was yelling at them for no reason at all. And then one day I fell down the stairs with my infant son. And that was it. That was my snap, my rock bottom moment. And ever since then, since 2000 and right around 2010 is when that happened. I've dedicated myself to educating myself, to getting my family involved in my own, the way that I live with the disease. And I turned to exercise. Not only did I lose weight, but I realized that it has helped me with managing my disease in terms of my medication and my on and off period. And then the most important thing is that I realized something else, is that I can actually still get stronger than I thought I could ever be. Fast forward.
Hey, Jimmy, before you fast forward, I want to just pause right there for a second, because you know, the way that you told that was a little bit different than the way that not different than the way that I've heard it before, but it hit me in a different way, because you talked about how, like, you just ignored it.
Yeah.
And just thought it would get better. And I feel like a lot of us right now are in a moment where, somewhat similar to you, we just got hit with like a diagnosis that we can't control, right? We just got smacked right in the face with news like we got Parkinson's disease when we're 27 years old. And, you know, when I look around, I see a lot of people that are kind of like ignoring it, like just hoping that it's going to get better. Like, you know, May 15th is going to come around and things are going to bounce back to normal, or, you know, that, you know, we're just going to come out of this. And, you know, I can sit at home and watch Netflix, or I can sit at home and kind of like wait this out and things are going to get better. But I don't feel like that's the case. And I feel like the people, you know, people who are thinking that way, not necessarily the people in our community. I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir a little bit, although maybe there's some out there. But, you know, I think the last thing that we can do is ignore this and think that it's going to get better and that we can just sit home and watch Netflix and wait this out.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. In this situation here, you know, people ask me, in the last 6 weeks, people have asked me, hey, Jimmy, how are you dealing with the isolation and staying at home? Well, to be honest, this is not something that's new to me, you know?
Yeah.
But this is one thing that I will say about this whole situation, is that over the years, right? If you think back, I'm sure I'm willing to bet money that you said this. I'm willing to bet money that your listeners have said this. You have made the statement in one way or another. It's, I always wanted to do X, Y, and Z, but life got in the way, right?
Right.
I wanted to go do X, Y, and Z, but I don't have time. But if you think about it, now we're in a unique situation where life has actually gotten in the way and gave us more time to do whatever it is that we need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got more time, you're at home, go and do the stuff that you always want to do. Learn something new, you know, learn a new skill, stay active, whatever it is, you've got time, right? Don't waste it.
Right.
Make your situation better.
Right. Well, I mean, that's true for some people. I mean, some people have a lot less time, you know, and they're trying to, you know, they've got kids that they're homeschooling, they're still working from home. But I hear what you're saying. It's like, it's a challenging situation all around, but you have to find the opportunity in it to, like you said, make yourself stronger.
Absolutely.
And there are certainly a lot of opportunities, and it's hard to like try to find the silver lining. My mom always says about me that if I found myself in a room full of shit, I'd look for the pony. And that's true, but like I also don't like to be, you know, unrealistic and think that like this is not, you know, an awful situation. So, you know, I'm not trying to be like optimistic for the sake of being optimistic, But at the end of the day, like, you know, if you're not looking for the opportunity, if you're not looking to take control of it and do what you can to make yourself stronger, like, this is going to run over you.
Yeah. No,
Just like when you ignored it, you know, you have to. Yesterday, I interviewed an Israeli fighter pilot, and he was just talking about how, you know, there's some things that you can control and there's some things that you can't, and you got to focus on the things that you can control. And, you know, with really steely-eyed, just being realistic about it, just focus on the things that you can control and make the most out of those things. And some of it's going to come down to luck, some of it's going to, but you can, you know, to some extent, the harder you work, the luckier you get. So,
absolutely.
You gotta.
The other thing is that, you know, you work yourself into it. I mean, we're all in the situation. It's not just you. It's your neighbors. It's your friends. You know, we're all in the same situation.
Right.
So, like you said, to look for that silver lining, and sometimes it's tough, right? Because you are doing something that you aren't used to. But
right.
I mean, something happened that changed our lives, right? So if we don't make adjustments to it, and you're doing the same things over and over again, nothing's going to get better.
That's right. That's right. It's a definition of insanity. And by the way, speaking of that, the things that we were doing before this, as I've been really thinking about, and I've been saying, our normal before this was broken.
Yeah.
Whatever we were doing before this is what led us into this mess.
Absolutely.
And, you know, in a way, you know, the things that we need to be changing now, we should have been changing all along. So, you know, whether this slap in the face is the impetus for us to make those changes. Hopefully we didn't need this slap in the face to make these changes, but we shouldn't be going back to normal anyway.
Right.
So
you got to learn from that.
Yeah. So, okay. So you felt your kind of rock bottom moment that was the impetus, which you just said, is that you fell down the stairs while you were holding your infant son. And that kind of caused you to wake up and say, all right, I need to make a change. So how did you make that change?
Well, I didn't know how to do it in the beginning, right? I knew I couldn't change the fact that I had Parkinson's, but I also knew that I had to make something change. So the really only thing, like you said earlier, is something that you can change that's in your control. And really, I started with my mindset, right? So I started looking at myself and looking at what's missing. What am I doing? What am I not doing? Or what am I doing that's not bettering my situation? And the first thing I landed on was education. I don't know anything about Parkinson's. That first 8 years, I ignored it to the point where I know absolutely nothing about Parkinson's. So that was what I did. I educated myself. I got all the information that I can get. I educated my care partner, which is my wife Cheryl, my closest inner circle. We all got educated together so we can live with the disease together. And then what I found during that process was that there was tons and tons of clinical trials out there starving for participants. So that's what I could do. I could lend my body to science, right? I remember at this point, I had just hit rock bottom. And to be honest with you, becoming involved in clinical trials wasn't all that bad, because if I took a medication that could possibly cure me, and if it did, that's great. But if it killed me, to be honest, at that point in my life, it wasn't so bad if it did, right? So I was happy to give up my body. But during that process, I signed up for trial after trial after trial. It was during that process that I learned how much movement can improve the way that I feel. Because a lot of these involve forced physical movements, like therapy or certain types of exercises. And I felt better as the more I did. So that was one of the things that I continued to learn. And then I incorporated that into my everyday.
So you just made me think of a couple things that, again, like, you know, I know your story for a long time, but the way you're saying things right now are hitting me in a different way. The first thing is that you talked about the education being the first step. It wasn't like you just started doing burpees and said, this is what I'm going to do. It's like you had to educate yourself about it. It made me think of, there's a song called "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised" by Gil Scott-Heron, which is like a very famous like civil rights song from the set, like spoken word, kind of like people think of it as like the first rap, and it's been used in like Nike commercials. It's the opening song to Homeland, and people have heard it. when you listen to it, it makes you want to work out, right? It makes you, like, the whole thing is like the revolution will not be televised. It's, you know, you got to get up off the couch and make it happen. I saw an interview with him, and somebody asked him, this is like an interview from like the 90s, and somebody like kind of stupidly asked him, so the revolution wasn't televised in the 70s, will it be televised in the 90s? And he's like, well, you know, people got the meaning to that song all wrong. It wasn't just like the revolution. It wasn't just about like you have to get up off the couch and like do things. It's that the first revolution happens in your mind. And what you see on TV, what you see in the world are the effects of that revolution. The revolution happens when you make a choice in your mind to change the way that you see the world. And so the revolution for you, as you're saying it, is that you got educated. You changed the way that you saw the world. You learned things. And so for so many of us, you know, maybe it was like, oh, I got to work out, or I got to do something to change the way I live. Like, that first revolution has to happen in your mind. And then the second thing that you kind of said that I was thinking of is like, you were like, fuck it, what do I got to lose? Right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
And in a way, like, a lot of us are in that situation now, right? Like, this is going to suck anyway, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you're at that point, like when I get to like mile 20 or 21 of a marathon, and it's really hurting, I say, well, it's going to hurt anyway. If I slow down, if I stop, I'm still going to be hurting.
Yep.
So I might as well keep going, right? I might as well give it my absolute all right now to figure my way through this, because either stopping now isn't going to make me feel better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like, what is the story that I'm going to tell myself at the end of this race? What is the story that I'm going to tell myself tomorrow? Is the story going to be that I got to the point where it hurt and I quit? Or is the story going to be I got to the point where I hurt and I kept going, I figured my way through it? Yeah. And if it's going to hurt anyway, you might as well give it a shot. It's like the Bob Dylan line, when you ain't got nothing, you got nothing to lose. Yeah. So, right, you just got to go for it. So in a way, being in the situation where it's going to suck gives us all a license to try something new that we otherwise wouldn't have tried before, because it was risky, or because, like you said, we didn't have the time.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we didn't want to disrupt like our normal life. But now we all have that opportunity. We all have that license to try something that, you know, might have been a little bit risky.
But it goes right back to exactly what you said earlier, was about that mental shift, right? Because if you asked Jimmy from 2007 and 2008, he would have given up because it hurt, right? But then if you ask Jimmy now, or post 2010, 2012, 2011, would have kept going. So it really was about, you know, what I knew and what I didn't know. And like you said, you know, it's been a couple of years now since we did an interview. And a lot of the things that I'm saying, even though they're the same, they're hitting you in a different ways, because I've also learned even more since the last time we spoke. And I'm trying to put my story in more of a perspective of how people might be able to relate, and how they can think about it from their own point of view. Right. Yeah, I mean, this puts, like, where we are now just puts a whole new context on the stories that we've told ourselves before, and it's a way to relearn them. But okay, so you got educated, and then, you know, so you read a couple articles, and then you ran a marathon, right? You started doing Ninja Warrior right away. Yeah, just like that. No, that took years of building. Actually, if I recall, it was pretty quick that you jumped into the marathon, but you didn't go like right to it. You started walking around the block, right? Yeah, so remember I was walking with a cane, right? And I was 240 pounds. So I had to start slow and build myself up. I started walking around the block once, and then I started jogging, and then as I got more and more confident, I left the cane at home and see how far I can get. But that ultimately led to jogging and running a little bit. And then the desire to want to add distance kind of kicked in. I actually read an article on Runner's World about another person with Parkinson doing a marathon. And that jolted me further into action. Now, at that time, I didn't ever think I would be able to do a marathon. I told myself that I would be able to do my first ever 5K at that time, and which is what I worked for, right? I changed the way that I thought, and I broke everything down to smaller, obtainable goals. And then I went after it. And then once I reached the goal, I didn't stop there. I just kept pushing that goal further out. Every time I reached a milestone, I just kept putting another one out there and just kept going after it. Yeah, but I went from 5K in 2012, April of 2012, to my first marathon in October of 2012, and yes, that was quick. But then American Ninja Warrior didn't come for another. It didn't come for another 6 years.
Right.
Um,
So you did like, what was that like for you? I mean, from April, like you're walking with a cane, to running a marathon in the fall. That is a pretty fast progression. But what was that? What was the story you were telling yourself over that progression?
the story. So just so everybody's clear, April was my first 5K.
Oh, 5K.
Yeah, I started training without my cane probably in mid 2011.
Okay.
So you can say from cane to marathon was over a year.
Right.
I want to make sure people knew that it didn't come overnight, like you said. But the entire time, the thought process was, what are my kids going to see as they're growing up? I mean, they were at an age where they're just absorbing like a sponge, right? What are they going to see? Are they going to see the dad work at it, right? Are they going to see their dad, and what are they going to learn from that, right? So really, my main motivation, and still the motivation today, is still my family. What are they going to learn from my experience? And the other day I caught a glimpse of it, and it was just it was just awesome, because I was checking out their debit card activities, and I saw that my son made donations for the coronavirus fund, 3 different ones, and nobody asked him to, right?
And how old is he? I wanted to ask you about this. How old is he? For people who don't know, I know him.
He's turning 11 in 4 days.
He's turning 11, and so like you were just looking at his debit card history, and he made 3 $2 donations to like different food banks and things like that on the coronavirus on his own without telling anybody.
He didn't tell anybody. He did it like more than a week ago. No one knew about it. And only reason I was looking at their activity, even though they're not spending because we're all at home, is because he couldn't find his card, and I wanted to make sure he didn't lose it in the park or something like that.
So think about that example that you've set for them.
I don't take all credit. It's probably mostly Cheryl. Now, if they got into some shenanigans, then that's me. But going back to this, it's all about what they're seeing, about what my kids are learning. If they see me curl up and give up on the corner, and they see me angry, and they see me just depressed, they're gonna learn from that. I didn't want them to learn that way.
Right. And I'll tell you actually a couple things there. One, well, from my own perspective, that's what I'm telling myself right now. And that's what I've been telling myself even before this, is like, what is my son Max seeing? Yeah. Like, is he seeing his dad, sitting at home on the couch? And unfortunately, he does see that sometimes. But, I want him to see me waking up early in the morning. I want him seeing me, like, he wakes up after I get out and go for a run. I want him to see me coming home from a run after he's gotten up, right? Like, I want that to be his example always. And like, what is he seeing now? What is the story that I'm going to tell him, when he's older, about what did I do when we were in a pandemic, right? Did I stay at home and watch Netflix, or did I like get off my ass and like do everything I could to make a difference, to help our family, to help other people? So, that's kind of how I'm thinking, is like, what is the story that I'm going to be telling Max?
Yeah.
Because he's too young to really know what's going on right now, but he's going to know. And what's the story that I'm going to be able to tell him?
Yeah.
And then, but also, by the way, speaking of that, so you have a daughter. How old is Karina?
Karina is 12.
12. She started to see what you were doing, but then she got into the ninja stuff, right?
Yeah.
And she got you into the ninja stuff. So she set an example for you.
She did. I mean, I was watching her crushing it, in the kids circuit, right? There's competition for kids, and she was having a blast. And watching these kids is like kind of like going to a playground and watching kids on the playground. There's absolutely no fear. There's absolutely no care. They're just having a blast. If they fall, they get up. They congratulate each other. They're cheering for each other, even though they're competitors, right? And these are kids. So watching her was very inspiring, because she was having fun and she was staying fit and she was getting stronger. Now this was the time that I was doing a lot of marathons, so I was built. My body was built like a marathoner. It wasn't built like a ninja warrior. I didn't have upper body strength, right? And then so for years, when she fell in love with the show, for years she kept bugging me. Dad, you got to do this. You got to try it. You got to try it. And for years, I mean, I wasn't kidding. For 3 years, since she started watching the show, to when I actually got on, when she told me, Dad, you got to try it, my thought was, there's no way I can do it. I have Parkinson, and I don't have upper body strength. I don't have balance. There's no way, right? But then that last year, in 2017, when she finally convinced me to do it, 2 things happened. Number one, she saw someone else compete, you know, because they have other stories on the show and other people compete, and there's people that have worse than I do, and they're competing. And she goes, "What's your excuse?" Right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is I realized that, what am I doing? I am going back to that Jimmy before I took the fall with Mason, right? I'm making excuses for why I can't do this. And what kind of example am I setting if I can't make those excuses, right? How can I be a role model, or how can I be a leader in the Parkinson community if I'm making these excuses? So then I said, why not? Let's give it a shot. Let's train for it and see how far we can get. And lo and behold, they gave me a shot, and I haven't stopped since. I'm still training. I'm still obstacle course training. I'm still strength training. I'm not as strong of a runner as I was, but I'll still do the distances, just not as fast. But I'll tell you what, I'm stronger.
How many times have you been on American Ninja Warrior?
I've been on it 3 times.
3 times on American Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And you're a fan favorite.
Well,
with things like that, you got to be on TV, Jimmy.
Well, you know, I don't know. You know, I've got my own favorite ninjas out there, and they happen to be people that I train with. You know, this community is just incredible that they have taken me in, and they have taught me things about my body, how I live with Parkinson's. It has helped me tremendously. They'll never understand that because they don't know what I'm feeling. But just example of how communities help each other, and going back to an example of how we should all be helping each other in this time of pandemic, that the ninja community actually, a few of them actually stopped and says, okay, now you can't make the swing because of why, and I'll tell them because my leg doesn't swing, I can't feel my body moving, and then they actually like tie 2x4s to their legs, and they learn how to make these moves without the use of their legs, their hips, and then they teach me how to do it.
Huh.
Right?
That's amazing.
So, and again, we're competitors, right? But we're also supportive of each other.
Right.
And, you know, that's just from that whole experience. I've learned a new way of thought. Like, what am I doing in the gym? What am I doing in training? That's going to translate to everyday life as I live with Parkinson's.
That's great. It's really interesting. So for people, I'm sure that most people out there know what American Ninja Warrior is, but how would you describe what that ninja competitions are? Like, what is it? People can't see your basement there. Like, you got all sorts of crazy contraptions. It's like obstacle course racing, right?
Yeah. Well, it's so if you think Spartan, level that up, you know, probably like 6 times.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it is an obstacle course. The point of the whole competition is try to get your way through several levels of obstacles. And ultimately get to the end where you win $1 million. Now, how hard is it? In the last 11 years that the show has been on, there's only been 2 winners, 2 people that have actually finished the entire obstacle course out of 1,400 that compete every year.
And the obstacles are like diabolical. Like, they're crazy. And each time you watch it, it's like, oh, they can't make the obstacles any crazier, and then they make the obstacles crazier.
Yeah,
but it's not just, you know, it's not just running. I mean, it's a lot of upper body strength and also a lot of mental strength too, to like figure out the problem. Like, just to think, going back to what we said before, is like you have to like think about, how am I going to do this?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because the first time we get on those obstacles is the first time we got on those obstacles. Meaning, when we're competing, we haven't been able to practice on that obstacle. Huh. You get there, you see it, and then now you got to do it.
Right.
So you got to figure it out, and it is mental, because the wrong hand placement will cost you. The wrong feet placement will cost you. So it is a very mental game, and it's if you aren't thinking your way through these obstacles, just like if you aren't thinking your way through life's obstacles,
Right.
you're likely to get yourself into a different corner where you're stuck, right? So you really got to think your way through these things.
Right. And so I think that the metaphor there is really important because, unlike in a marathon, and to some extent, I think that the marathon metaphor is apt here because in a marathon, it's really about endurance, and we're all going in the same direction, right? Like, in a marathon, all you got to do is keep putting one foot in front of the other, follow the crowd, and eventually you're going to get to the finish line. Now, we don't really know when the finish line is going to happen here, and we don't know how long this is going to be, if it's 26 miles or 2,600 miles. But in a sense, we're all kind of moving in the same direction. But I think that the obstacle course metaphor is so much more relevant, just because we got to figure this out. Like this is in so many different ways. Like, how do you homeschool? How do you, make your job work? You lost your job, your business shut down. Like, there's so many obstacles to this where we're not necessarily all moving in the same direction, but we have to figure this out. But at the same time, help each other figure it out as well. So I think that the obstacle course metaphor is really interesting. And I'm wondering, what have you learned through the ninja? Like, what are some principles or kind of core strategies that you use when approaching a new obstacle that help you figure it out, that might be relevant for us figuring out these new obstacles that we're trying to figure out?
Well, the couple of things that come immediately to mind is that you're learning from your own experience. So failure is definitely an option, right?
Interesting. Yesterday, the Israeli fighter pilot said failure is not an option.
Well, failure. See, and he's right, and I'm right. I think because from a sense of where failure is an option for you to learn how to be successful. Right. But where the failure is not an option is that just because you fail, you don't quit. So that's the part that's not an option. Right. But you keep failing, trying to get things done right, and you learn from your failures to get that completion, or to get to complete your task, whatever it might be. So, for every ninja warrior out there, anybody that's even tried anything new, that you fail more times than you are successful in the beginning, right? And then once you get good at something, then you become successful at it. Okay.
And by the way, just to kind of go back, like right now, we all have a license to fail in a way that we didn't maybe have before. Like it gives you a little bit more freedom to try something new and fail because, there's a lot less shame in failing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's because everybody's learning something new. Everybody's failing.
Yep.
Right. And then, but at the end of the day, is what do you learn from it? On the other, coming out of the other side.
Right.
So that's one of my principles of getting into an obstacle. But the second thing is, what am I learning from this experience that's going to help me in other areas? Right. Now, if you think about it, American Ninja Warrior obstacle, how does that relate to everyday life? Well, it does, because for me, especially for me, is because I live with a movement disorder, right? And every obstacle requires a different movement. So I'm thinking about the moves that I have to make, and how does that relate to just everyday living with a disease? How can I use what I'm learning to improve my everyday, and vice versa, right? I've come in situations where Parkinson's has cost me something in life that I've actually used on the course. For example, it's easy for you and everybody else not affected with the disease to reach into a fridge, okay, and reach around an object for a drink, okay? But that's a difficult task for me. If I reach into a fridge and I have to reach around an object where my hands are bent outwards, I can't make that move. So I've got to turn my entire body to face the direction I'm trying to reach. I'm trying to describe that, verbally. But because of that, I've learned that my wrists do not turn a certain degree in a certain direction when my arms are sticking straight out. So in an obstacle course, you need to make that move sometimes. So how do I attack that angle then without the ability of turning my wrist? Right. So in the obstacle course, I because I had that problem in real life, then I learned how to shift my body. I learned how to shift my angle of attack. And I do the same now when I try to reach around things in life. So it really just goes back and forth. And you mentioned burpees earlier, right? Why do I do so many burpees? Because burpee is a controlled fall. And people with Parkinson fall all the time, right? So if I can learn how to fall in a control and make myself strong enough to get back up, then I'm going to be more confident in my everyday movement. I'm not going to be afraid if I take a fall, and I'm going to be able to get myself up safely. That's why I do some burpees.
Yeah. When I do burpees, I like the metaphor of the burpee. I get down, I get up. I get down, I get up. So whenever I do burpees, that's what I say.
Yeah.
I get down, I get up. It's like practicing for life.
Yeah. You're going to get knocked down, but let's get back up. I like that.
I love that. I like that too. So
next time I put myself through one of those burpee challenges, I'm gonna have Gene Gerkoff in my head. I get down and get up. I get up. Get down and I get up.
All right. Well, there's some good stuff in there. So speaking of that, why don't we get to some burpees and some workout here? Give people a little bit of an exercise. Give people a little bit of a workout. We've never done. I've done. The last time we did our podcast, we were on a run. I usually do the podcast on our walk or run. Hopefully, people are walking along with me right now as I kind of pace back and forth through my the playground outside my house. But this will be the first podcast workout that we do.
So
that's actually a good point too. Just in a very, very trivial example, I was very, very rigid with the way that I thought about charity miles and about the podcast. And I wouldn't change certain things, and I was very stuck in a certain way. So for example, all of my podcasts had to be in person on a walk or a run with somebody. And that's obviously impossible now. But I missed a lot of opportunities to interview great people because I was just so rigid to that format. I had to be in person. So if I couldn't meet you in person, there was no way that I was ever going to interview you. And if you wouldn't come out on a walk or run, there's no way that I was going to interview you. But now, because I have this license to try something new, and I'm being forced to try something new, I get to do a Zoom workout with you on a Wednesday morning, right? I get to interview an Israeli fighter pilot yesterday morning. It's opened up a new opportunity, and I'm not being rigid. The audio on this is probably not going to be great, and whatever, it's not going to be polished. But who the heck cares? Honestly, the people who listen to this are gonna get something out of it, and it doesn't matter if it's not polished or anything like that. And if people don't do the workout, they don't do the workout. But hopefully, people will do some burpees with us. And also, by the way, it's helping me with charity miles. We've been kind of doing things a certain way as long as we've been around. But this pandemic has caused a lot of challenges for our charity partners, and we have to adapt, right? We have to adapt to help them more. And it's kind of forced us to think differently about charity miles, which in a way has uncovered so many other opportunities that we never really even had before. So anyway, that's my soapbox on there. Let's get to a workout.
All right. So what do you for your listeners listening out there and trying to visualize all this, right? I've got why don't we go with a 8? We'll go through 8 exercises. All right, and you and I, we can do. We'll go through each one. We'll go through quite a few reps of each one of those, but no more than say a minute each. Okay. And then what I'm challenging your listener to do is go through all 8 of these movements. 1 minute of work nonstop in the same movement, and then taking a 20-second rest, and then going right back to it, the next movement for 1 minute, and then taking a 20-second rest, going through all 8 movements. Okay. That's 8 minutes of total work, right? Plus 20 seconds rest in between, and then challenge themselves. Go through it 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds if they can.
Awesome. Oh, so we're gonna do this once, 8 movements of a minute each,
Yeah.
20 seconds rest, and we're going to do one round of it. And then if people want to continue doing it, they can do more rounds of that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So we're going to do the first round together.
Yeah, we're gonna do the first round together.
Okay. I need to, I'm on my headphones here, and they keep telling me that they need to be charged. I'm not sure why they need to be charged. I charged them before. But I'm going to turn these off for a second. I'm going to put my phone down on a tree.
Okay. I'm gonna set up a clock here with 1 minute timers.
Jimmy,
Yeah,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right, hold on 1 second here. I can't hear you. I got to get you on speaker. Jimmy.
Yep.
All right, and I can hear you now. I'm going to lay you down next. I'm going to put you up against this tree here so I can do the workout. All right. I think that works.
Hold on, I'm setting up a clock.
Being creative here. People out there, maybe start doing some jumping jacks or twisting around, get warmed up. Do some jumping jacks. Maybe shadow box a little bit.
Yep. You always got to get warmed up. Make sure you're stretching out there. We're almost there. Just want to make sure we got everything right. All right, looks like we're there.
Jimmy, you can hear me if I'm back here, right?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you good.
All right. Should I walk through all movements, or we just go through one by one?
Let's do them one by one so keep us surprised what's coming next.
All right. Cool. All right, here we go. Let's do the first one. Okay, the first one is going to be we're going to start with our legs. Okay, so the first one is going to be a squat hold calf raise. You can see me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're going to do is go into a squat hold. Your legs are 90 degrees, and you're going to stay 90 degrees. I'm going to turn to my side, so you're going to stay 90 degrees, and then from here you're just going to raise your calves off the, go into a calf raise. So you go into tiptoes while still holding that 90-degree bend.
Woo.
All right. So we're going to do that for 1 full minute. All right. Here we go. We're going to start in about 5 seconds. We got a clock going here. And if you got to rest, stand up and rest, shake it up, but get right back into it. All right. Here we go. We're starting now. You're going to hold this 90 degrees and you're going into that tiptoe.
All right. So holding that squat and then doing the calf raises while in the squat.
Yep.
And
Well,
you're not coming out of the squat between the calf raises.
Not coming out of the
staying
squat.
in the squat.
90-degree bend in that leg. And you're just working your calves. You should be able to feel both your quads and your calves burning right about now with 30 seconds to go. And then
so this is like holding a squat.
People doing this at home. If you got to rest, you got to come out and give your quads a rest. Give your calves a rest. Stand up, take 1 or 2 breaths, and get right back into it. Because it's only a minute. Just like that, we got 15 seconds to go.
There you go. It's only a minute. You can do anything for a minute.
That's right. Good. Only 5%.
Diabolical, Jimmy.
3, 2, 1. All right. Now we got 20 seconds break. Our next movement is going to be feet together squats. We're going to continue burning those legs, okay? Feet together squats. Your feet are close together, and you're just going to squat yourself back, keeping your chest up as low as you can possibly go, and then coming back up.
All right.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, and we're going. Now
I like these are very balance oriented. I like it. There's a lot of metaphor in the balance too.
Exactly. So we're closing off your stance, so you need to stay balanced, and we want to keep our chest up, okay? And the other thing too, what you'll notice is that even though you're making a squat motion, the different muscles you're feeling engaged are different than your standard squat. you're really
Yeah,
feeling
definitely.
more of the inside quad.
Yep.
That's working. That little piece right next to your knee on the insides. That's really what you're working. And you're really feeling more on the outer glutes as well. So you can think of yourself as pushing your legs in that from your butt, pushing in towards your knees, keeping your chest up, going as low as you possibly can, really feeling a different part of your quads that are burning than you were just feeling in that last exercise. All right, one more second. Here we go. 20 seconds.
All right.
The next one, we are going to go into it's called a push up the shoulder taps. Okay, so we're going to be doing this for a minute. We're going to go push up and then shoulder taps to the other side, both sides, and then another push up. So here we go. 1 minute.
Push up.
Push up, and then
Tap.
take your right hand, touch your left shoulder, and then left hand, touch your right shoulder, and then push up again, and then doing it, both taps on both sides again. The key is to keep your shoulders and your hips parallel to the ground as you do these.
So your legs are apart, right?
My legs are apart, probably a little bit wider than shoulder width. Give yourself a nice good base, and you really want to engage that core so you can keep your shoulders and hips, everything parallel to the ground, especially when you release one hand and you balance on 3 points of contact against the floor. 10 more seconds.
Man, this is definitely getting my core.
Oh yeah. 2, 1. All right, just like that, 3 down. Our next one, we are going into okay, we're gonna go right into our single leg 3-way lunges. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna lunge on a single leg, but we're gonna reach out with our legs. Okay, so we're gonna go out to the side for a side lunge, and then you're gonna go forward, but at a 45-degree angle, and do a lunge there, and then backwards, a 45-degree angle lunge. Okay.
So side, forward, and backward lunge.
Yep. Side, forward, and back lunge, and we're doing this.
Same leg, and then we're gonna do a minute each leg.
Yep. We're gonna do a minute on this leg, and then we're gonna do a minute on the other leg in the next minute.
Side lunge, forward lunge, backward lunge.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep. And we're concentrating on the same leg. We're not switching. And then especially when you're going from that reverse lunge, you want to transition to that forward lunge without tapping the ground. All right, 20 seconds rest. Shake out that leg.
I like that. That's like on Iron Chef when they make some dish and they're like, oh, this is chicken 3 ways.
That's right.
Lunge is 3 ways.
It's a lunge 3 ways. All right, here we go. We're starting our next minute now. Forward lunge, side, backwards, and then right into that forward lunge. So you're doing a step through from that reverse lunge to that forward lunge. We're trying not to let that leg touch the ground. So again, very balance oriented.
Very, I like it.
What you're going to notice in the things that we do today, especially the next 3 movements, it's going to take a lot of balance, a lot of core, and some isolation strength as well to be able to hold certain muscle groups, okay? And basically what people should be learning from all of this is that the core is the center of all your movement, whether it's power, balance, or fine motor movements, everything starts in the core. 5 more seconds, Gene. All right. Okay, watch carefully. Next one is called the crouching tiger. All right, we're gonna start here. Hands
and knees.
Low plank with the hands. My knees are bent 90 degrees, and I'm gonna drive my toes into the ground, and I'm coming up. And now I'm just gonna walk forward with my hands, okay?
And then I'm gonna walk backwards. So opposite hand, opposite leg, just gonna walk forward. Your knees never touching the ground, so I'm driving my toes into the ground, getting my knees
kind of
up
like
a few inches.
crawling with your knees off the ground.
Yep.
Forward and backwards.
Forwards and backwards, like 3 steps forward and 3 steps back. So you're not taking too much space. You are on your elbows. Your forearms are touching the ground. So your knees never touch the ground. Your knees are also wide. They're out past. Yeah, I'm gonna turn towards you so you can see my knees are out further than my elbows. And we're just gonna keep going back and forth.
Woo! This is a hard one, Jimmy.
You're on 2 points of contact. So really, again, that core is engaged. That balance is engaged as well. All right, 20 seconds rest. The next one is going to be quadruped bird dog. So we're gonna stay down in this position, except now we're gonna go opposite hand and opposite feet. Release.
All right.
Hold that core.
So for people listening, it's like you're on your knees and hands. Push your right leg back straight and your left arm straight forward.
Yep, trying to reach forward and
left leg back, right arm forward.
Yep. Now.
Right leg back, left arm forward.
You also want your knees up off of the ground as well. So
your knees are off the ground.
Yep, you're driving your toes into the ground. You've got your knees hovering as you reach with your hands and reaching with your legs straight up and out. Again, very core heavy, very balance heavy.
Oh.
Good. 10 more seconds. And then we've got one more movement after this. And it's going to be the most challenging one. 3, 2, 1. All right. This last one, we're going right back to the legs, Gene. We are going to be doing, these are called, what are these called? I have names for all these. One-legged bird squats, all right? So we're going to, one leg, we're going to lean over. So it's kind of like doing a ballerina pirouette. Not pirouette, but you're leaning so that you're balancing on one leg. Your arms are out like a bird. Your legs are straight out. You want to form a nice parallel T with the ground. And then you want to pulse yourself up and down, going as low as you can on that single leg knee that you're balancing on. Oh, I wish they could. So
it's kind of like a flying T. One leg, you're bent over, and then you're squatting and
on a single leg.
Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah, we're gonna stay here. If you lose your balance, put your feet down. That's okay. Get right back into it.
Yeah.
And then we got 1 more minute on the other leg, and then we're done.
Ooh, feeling this in my glutes.
5 more seconds. 1 more. All right. We switch legs. Same thing. Now we switch to the other leg. Find your balance. Arms out to your side. And then you're really just sitting your weight into your hips. You're leaning forward until your back is parallel to the ground. And then your back leg is straight out. And then you're just going to go ahead and drive yourself straight down and keep pumping at it. Ignore that beat, Gene. We've got about 40 more seconds to go. Really find that balance point. Now your shoulders should be burning as well because you got your arms out in the T.
I was gonna say my arms are feeling it.
Yeah. Keep going, Gene. About 15 more seconds. We are almost there.
It's funny. I thought I would be stronger on this leg.
No, and that's the other thing. We're never balanced. All right. 3, 2, 1. Nice job.
Woo. All right.
So just like that, 1 round. If your listeners want to go for another round, go for it. Usually, for these exercises, I always go about 3 rounds.
Okay.
And then which will give you like
24 to 30 minutes of work, depending on how much rest you take at the end.
Yep.
But 3 rounds will do it.
That's great. Well,
if you think about all the muscles that we've engaged, pretty much just about all major muscle groups we've hit.
yep. I'm definitely feeling that. I like how it's like challenging it in a different way. Like it's not just lunges, it's not just push-ups. It's like hitting it from a different angle.
Yeah. So
and that's obviously relevant too, because kind of like we said before, this coronavirus is taking a lot of our daily challenges that we usually have and hitting them from a whole nother angle.
absolutely, man. I mean,
You gotta train for that.
Yeah, if you're doing squats, everybody does squats, but nobody does them closed feet, right?
Yep.
Even though it looks like the same movement, it's a completely different muscle group that you hit.
Totally. That's great. Love that. So, Jimmy, I'm gonna have to get these other rounds in later because I got to get to work.
Yeah, man.
But thank you so much for everything that you do, for being unshakable, for inspiring me every day.
Gene.
For all that you do for our Team Fox family, for all that you do for the Charity Mouse family. I love you. So thank you so much.
It's a two-way street, Gene. It really is. So, if I'm going one way, you're coming at me in the other direction. You're giving me the right pushes and that's also the inspiration to keep going because I know I'm doing something right. So thank you, and thank the 30 Miles community.
All right, Jimmy, everyone out there, I hope that you enjoyed this. Hopefully you came for a walk with us. Hopefully you did some of those exercises with us. And I'm sure that you learned something from Jimmy. Thank you all very much. Every mile matters.
All right, guys, take care.
Thank you. Whew. All right, hold on one second.
Yeah, man. So